All right, let's get right into it. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here for this explainer. Today, we are tackling what is arguably the biggest headache for law school aspirants, cracking the general knowledge and current affairs sections of the CLAT and AILET exams. If you've spent any time looking at past papers, you know this section can feel like an endless ocean of trivia. It's the part of the exam that literally keeps people up at night. But don't worry, we aren't just going to tread water today. We're going to build a highly structured, actionable playbook to save your sanity and turn that mountain of facts into an absolute automatic reflex. So here is our roadmap for today. 1. Decoding CLAT and AILET. 2. Static versus dynamic knowledge. 3. The master's study strategy. 4. Tackling CLAT passages. And 5. Conquering AILET rapid fire. Part 1. Decoding CLAT and AILET. Right off the bat, you've got to realize that even though these two exams test the exact same subject matter, they are fundamentally different beasts. CLAT's current affairs section is entirely passage-based. You're going to read an extract of about 200 words, usually pulled from a real news article or an editorial, and the multiple-choice questions that follow demand that you extract context and apply outside knowledge. AILET, completely different story. It totally ditches the passage and just fires standalone, one-line factual questions at you in rapid succession. It is a ruthless test of pure, unadulterated factual recall under intense time pressure. So a one-size-fits-all strategy? Yeah, that just won't cut it here. Which brings us to part 2, static versus dynamic knowledge. To really crush both formats, we have to mentally split our study material into 2 distinct buckets. First up is your bedrock, static general knowledge. We're talking constitutional articles, major historical dates, geography, standard abbreviations. These are the immovable rules of the game. They literally never change. You cannot try to deduce these on exam day. They absolutely must be hardwired into your memory. Then you've got bucket number 2, dynamic general knowledge. Unlike those static facts, this is a constantly moving target. This is your current events, new government schemes, international developments, basically focusing on the last 12 months of global and national news. The huge danger here is that any fixed study script or printed textbook goes stale almost the exact second it's printed. So how do we get around that? Well, here is the golden rule of prep, and it's a total game changer. When you're putting together practice questions for dynamic events, use generic placeholders. For instance, instead of writing a practice question about a highly specific real-world summit that happened last week, just write a recent international summit. This brilliant little hack means your study framework never goes stale. You keep the structure of the exam question intact, and you just plug in the verified up-to-the-minute facts later. All right, part 3, the master's study strategy. Okay, you understand the exams and you understand the types of knowledge. Now you need to follow this 6-step framework religiously. Step 1, tackle just one topic area at a time, like international relations. Step 2, lock down those core static facts. Step 3, look at that topic through both the CLAT and the AILET lenses. Step 4, generate original practice questions using that placeholder rule we just talked about. Step 5, and this is critical, solve them fully, mapping out exactly why the wrong answers are wrong. And step 6, always ask yourself a check understanding question before moving on. This method beautifully blends those static rules with real exam simulation. Let's see this in action. Part 4, tackling CLAT passages. Consider this classic CLAT simulation. Notice how sneaky the test makers are here. The text mentions a recent international climate summit, developing nations pushing for finance, and then it drops this line about a 2015 agreement reached in a European capital. Do you see what's missing? They never actually name the agreement. It's a total trap. They give you the context, sure, but they force you to rely entirely on your own static knowledge to fill in the blanks. And then they hit you with the question, the 2015 agreement referenced in the passage was adopted in which city? I want you to try and answer this right now. You literally cannot find the answer hidden in the text we just read. You have to bridge the gap between those contextual clues and your outside knowledge of environmental treaties. So what is it? Copenhagen, Kyoto, Paris, or Geneva? Let's break this down like we're watching game tape. Why are the distractors wrong? Well, option A, Copenhagen hosted a 2009 summit, but it infamously failed to produce a binding agreement. Option B, Kyoto was a 1997 protocol. That's a completely different era of climate policy. Option D, Geneva, is a massive UN diplomatic hub, which makes it sound super plausible, but it wasn't the site of this specific accord. That leaves us with option C, Paris. The 2015 climate agreement, adopted at COP21, perfectly matches the passage. Paris is for sure the correct answer.
Shifting gears now to part 5, conquering IELT rapid fire.
We are moving from the reading-heavy CLAT right into the deep end with IELT's blisteringly fast pace. Take this bare-bones question. Which of the following Indian constitutional amendments is correctly matched with its primary subject? Notice the immediate difference. Zero context. No cozy passage to read for clues. The exam just drops you right in, forcing you to recall highly specific static facts under immense pressure. And this perfectly exposes one of the most dangerous traps in these exams, the two true facts trap. The options state things that actually exist, but they deliberately mismatch them. Like option A, it claims the 42nd Amendment introduced the right to education. The right to education is totally real, but it was the 86th Amendment, not the 42nd. Option C links the 73rd Amendment to women in the Lok Sabha. Now, that's Panchayati Raj. Option D links the 101st to linguistic reorganization. Wrong again, the 101st is GST. By visually mapping these out during your prep, you train your brain to instantly spot those deliberate misalignments.
So, the final verdict, option B, is the correct match. The 44th Amendment in 1978 actually did remove the right to property from the list of fundamental rights, shifting it over to a legal right under Article 300A. Mastering your static facts to this exact level of detail is literally the only way to prevent falling for those tricky AILET mismatches. Vague general concepts just won't save you here.
Real quick, before we wrap up, I want to give you a massive pro tip to completely solve that stale data problem we talked about earlier. You can pair this static framework with a smart AI tool, like Gemini. Just tell it to pull the last 6 to 12 months of live, verified news to fill in those dynamic placeholders. Combine that fresh data with the timeless formatting of past exam PDFs, and boom, you have an infinite, totally up-to-date practice engine.
Okay, we've covered some incredible ground today. You've got the playbook. You know how to decode the passage-based structure of CLAT and survive the rapid-fire intensity of AILETs. But honestly, knowing the strategy is only half the battle. So, I'm going to leave you with this. How will you design your daily study habits starting tomorrow to make sure this static knowledge becomes an absolute automatic reflex on exam day? The tools are all right here in your hands. Now it's time to build the habit. Happy studying, and I will catch you in the next explainer.